Hello, this is the Bluthner style 4A grand piano, 165 centimeters long, that's 5'5" long, made in about 1929. It's just come into stock, so just appreciating the piano and also seeing what sort of work might need doing. This casework, it's a walnut colour, but we're pretty convinced it's not walnut wood. In fact, the way it is here, looking here, that looks more like mahogany. This is a more typical flamed mahogany Bluthner that we've repolished. It's lighter than it was originally. We tried to go for more contrast in the grains, so slightly lighter colour, more like a honey mahogany colour. This is unusual casework as well for the Bluthner. It has lyre-shaped pedal unit. Normally they're square columns, and so that is, I don't think I've ever seen it on this age. On very old Bluthners, you get lyre shape as standard, going back to perhaps 1880 and before that. Those are they're very common. So this is more for an old style, and also the music stand is totally unique. I've never seen one like that on the Bluthner. So there's the typical columns on the other Bluthner grand, which is very similar age, and a typical music stand. That's what they usually look like. So we will be repolishing this piano and just have a quick look around and what the veneer's like. So obviously it'll be quite a different colour, I think, when it's repolished. You can choose to a certain extent what kind of colour you would like. I think we would go for a probably more mahogany colour if this is mahogany. When it's stripped down, it'd be interesting to see what the wood is like. So that's going to be something we're going to learn from. So the other one is quite standard. We're used to those. And at the back here, it's going to look very beautiful indeed once it's repolished. And this side here, you can see it's quite bleached, so that's the reason we're definitely going to repolish. We could make good this side, I suppose, if you wanted to pay less money for the piano before it's repolished, because we're going to restore it, as we'll explain in a minute what kind of work we're going to do. So the top lid again has got some suggestions of the mahogany pattern, which is quite common, but not sure. If you are a wood expert, we'd like to know, because our polisher and myself, we're a bit flummoxed by what the wood is here. It's certainly very attractive and will come out very beautifully, and the key tops, they are ivory and in perfect condition. They need buffing, actually. They're going to attract the dirt if they're not buffed. That tends to happen, so that's making them shiny so the dirt doesn't get attracted, but they are perfect. Now the major issue on this piano is that the rest plank is faulty. Basically the tuning pins have been replaced, but they're still loose, and you can see a couple here that someone's replaced afterwards as well, so there's a problem there. And in fact one of them up here, if we listen to this one, is definitely loose. It's this last pin here, so turning that up, it still goes back down again. So it's this pin here. You can use a rest pin setter and hold it tight and knock it a little bit further in, which does roughen up the wood and does hold them tighter, but it's not enough for this piano. There's too many of them that's loose, and if you look at them, they're actually, I don't know if you can see on the video, but they're sloping that way, and they should be sloping, if anything, 7 degrees that way. That's the standard. If you're used to restringing, you'll be able to perhaps leave a useful comment under there, but they're all facing the wrong way. You may not be able to see it very well on the video, but they're all slightly sloping that way and not that way. So this is the original rest plank. You can see the black here, Bluthner black, the rest plank here, and it's definitely faulty, so we're going to replace the rest plank and then restring the piano. So when we restring the piano, we'll also recondition the soundboard. In fact, that's more of a compression crack rather than opening up. It's compressed slightly, and it doesn't really affect the tone, but it's cosmetic, and we'll obviously recondition the soundboard at the same time. And there's the serial number. That serial number suggested the 1928, but there's a date here, 1929. So we usually put C1928 because we're not certain, and here I put C1929, so it could be even later than that. So it's a very common age for this Bluthner, and one that we're really trying to find, so we love the tone of these Bluthners. The action on the piano is a Fleming Bluthner action. It's quite common to find that name on Bluthner grands, and you can see the knuckle here is slightly different. It's not a roller, it's literally a knuckle, I think that's what you call it, and it's actually very smooth. It's a very good design, and it does feel smooth, and it just needs reconditioning, doesn't need replacing. So we not often do hammers, shanks and rollers, and that would be a different style, so I had to be careful to make sure the roller got in the right place. But my colleague who does the action work recommends either recovering or refacing the hammers, and the hinges are tight, so we're obviously looking at tight hinges here, so we then need to weigh the action. We're obviously trying to make it like a new piano really. So if we look at the hammers, we can see there's a reasonable amount of wear on them, but I've tried refacing a couple to see what the tone is like. So whether you replace the hammer or whether you reface it is the question of, if you replace them, you may not get the specifications exactly what Bluthner intended originally, so that's always a danger. I like to feel them just to see how soft they are, so having refaced these, they're reasonably hard, and I think on balance we will reface these and not replace them or not recover them. Very often we recover them for Bluthners. Arb will do an excellent recovering service, so that's another option. So there's a big decision to make, obviously. The hammers are so important. The worn hammers is what's affecting the tone on old pianos mostly, not actually the strings, so it's the hammers that's so crucial. So a reasonable amount of wear there. Another way we would decide whether we reface or replace is to look at the top ones and see how much felt there is left on them, and there's plenty of felt left on there. So I've roughly refaced 2 of these, you probably can see here, and so let's have a listen to the tone of those. I don't suppose, we'll have a try, see if you can tell on the video which ones they are. So it's really quite difficult to hear on the video the difference it's going to make, but I'm going to play some notes from there to there and see if you can tell which of the 2 hammers that have been refaced. I'll just go a bit more slowly. So I'm showing the hammers now, and those are where I started, and you can see them now. So what kind of difference are you expecting to get? With some more clarity, it'll be brighter as well. We can voice them down slightly if that's too bright. So it's the clarity of the tone. See, that's not really hitting clearly on the strings, not bringing out the harmonics like it should. And that is. Might be a bit bright too, which is easy to just voice down. And that one isn't quite as bright as this one. There's more clarity. If you listen to that. Now I'm not sure if you would be able to hear it, so I'll have to listen to the video myself afterwards, but once they're all refaced, they're going to sound much better, much clearer, and just as Bluthner should be, really. So that's an unusual Bluthner style 4A, made in about 1929, and I put walnut because of the colour, or mahogany and more the wood, but we don't really know. If you're a wood expert, it'd be wonderful to find out more, and so we can learn as we go along. One thing about videos I'm finding really grateful is we can learn things as we post it. So please do post your comments. We do need to replace the rest plank on this, there's no doubt about that. So I put the designate rest plank I expect to, which is common in Bluthners. They would install one themselves. I've just done a video of a Bluthner that they fully restored, and they've put the designate rest plank, which is multi-layered and ideal for central heating in a lot of new pianos. So at the same time recondition the soundboard, bridges, restring and so on. There's quite a lot of work to do, and then the casework, we'd have to decide, do we make it good or French polish? It could be made good if you don't want to spend so much money, because after French polishing, which takes 70 hours, it does put the price up considerably, unfortunately. We're trying to do these as economically as possible, but it's difficult. On this one, we really will have to work on it. The weighting isn't too bad, and once it's been refaced, it'll bring it down very slightly, and then we'll check it, and we need to lubricate the balance rail too. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm just going to play the piano to get some idea of what it sounds like. So that's a Bluthner style 4A, 165 centimeters long, 5'5", made in about 1929, and it really is unusual, the casework on this. I say unusual because at least 90% of Bluthners of this age, from 1925 onwards, have the music desk I showed you on the other one, and the pedals that are columns, straight columns, but this has lyre-shaped pedals like the old pianos. So I don't know why this is so different. It's custom made for somebody perhaps, and the casework too, we're really not sure what wood this is. So if you can help, that would be wonderful. We'd love to learn. So if you work with Bluthners at the time, we'll try and find out ourselves and put a comment if we can find out. But the 4A is one of the Bluthners that we're particularly trying to access. Sorry. We're really keen on the pianos, and we're so grateful when we managed to get one. The hammers need refacing, and we will be restringing and restoring what we call the acoustic part of the piano, and then repolishing if you can afford that. If you're interested in the piano, please do let us know. We don't get enough of the Bluthner Star 4A or the Star 4, so it's probably a good idea if you are interested just to express interest, and we can reserve it for when you come, and you can have a look at it, or you can have it for a period to try if you live a long way away. We have a special scheme for that if you look at our website. Please do write for us, info@robertspianos.com, if you'd like to reserve the piano, or if you'd like to purchase it, or if you have any questions. Thank you very much for listening.